Welcome back to Master Set Madness. Today we're talking about the problems with TCG player, surgical extraction and buyouts, and of course at the end, if you stick around long enough, we're talking about how to best respond to all this market madness. We are on case number 14. Case number 14 here on our quest to complete our master set. And boy, what a quest it has been. It's been interesting. A lot different than Uprising. Mostly a lot more difficult. Let's put it that way. A lot more difficult than Uprising. We still got a lot of big cards we need. We are still missing, a common foil. A common rainbow foil. Blue Sack the Shifty. I will have to continue to pay attention to those common foils, which that's a lot of work looking at all these difference, lots. But we're back at it. I don't know. Let's see here. Get things a little bit wild around here. To be honest, I don't know how far we're going to go with Master Set Madness Dynasty. It's getting rough. It is getting rough. We are already at the point where we're opening almost one, maybe one card. I think one time we opened a case with nothing in it that we needed. And that's, I don't know, that's part of the madness. But as I've said before, the madness can't go on forever. So we're really hoping that we can pull something today. Look at that, Imperial Warhorn. That is something we need. That is a cool one. Look at that. Look at that, progress. That is what progress looks like right away here in case number 1. But today, we're not just going to talk about that. We are going to talk about TCG player. Why TCG player causes some problems for us as a market. Yes, we're talking about some of that market stuff. And we'll get into, surgical extraction and other different pieces as well. But just TCG player in general, I think, the challenge is that the fab market's really fragile. What I mean by really fragile is, apparently I don't have any correct piles here. What I mean by fragile is that the market for Flesh and Blood can be moved around so easily. Look at that Arachne foil. To start there, in the sense that we use TCG player, right? It's kind of like our market benchmark for different things. But at the same time, oh man, it's going to be a rough day, guys, with this talking and moving and putting things in places. Who knows what's happening? Even though we use TCG player, most of the sales, again, I don't have real evidence for this, but I think most of the sales for Flesh and Blood actually happen outside of TCG player. Even online sales, I say, a lot of people just want to avoid the fees. A lot of people don't want to go through the hassle of making an account, don't have an account. Some people don't want to receive the fees. Some people don't want to pay the fees. However you look at it, swell tidings there. Cool foil, and an Iron Song Pride. We've not opened as many of those as we could. And so it's weird because people want to look at TCG. There's that rock. We need more of those. They want to look at TCG player for the price, but a lot of the action happens outside of it. And it's even gets to the point where TCG player is so, there's so few listings of cards on there. You've all seen this with different things here in Dynasty, like Soraya. Even where in just a couple of sales and then the price skyrockets. But of course that skyrocketing price doesn't really reflect what people will actually pay for it. It just reflects what happens, some number that somebody put on TCG player for the day. So it gets kind of messy. Things go up like that, they also go down. Sometimes you get a random person who throws a card on there for real cheap, or maybe even it's just a heavily played card, and then it changes the price on the front, and then everybody gets all excited about how that's not the real price or that is the real price, depending on which side of the transaction you want to be. Only 4 Majestics so far here. Maybe I missed one. Anyways, it makes for kind of like an interesting... It's interesting that we use that as our benchmark for everything. I know it's the easiest place to look at. I don't think it's a super great reflection, actually, and I think that that causes some cards to be more valuable that shouldn't be more valuable, and cards to be less valuable that could be a little bit more valuable, but mostly the cards being more valuable. Oh man, one more pack here. I mean, honestly, for me, like, TCG players, it's easy. It's one of the easier easier places to sell cards, but it's definitely not time in the amount of time it takes to sell. It is not the quickest place, I can tell you that. Like, you can put a card as the lowest price, and man, sometimes they just sit and they sit and they sit and they sit, and of course, unless you're monitoring it every single day, 12 times a day, there are people who jump underneath you. But I've even had cards, Flesh and Blood cards, in the $10 to $20 range, value cards, sit there for like a week, even at the bottom. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of weird. But then you take that over to Facebook. Sometimes you can put the exact same cards, list them there in a little post you make, and man, cards can, they not necessarily will, they can fly a lot faster on Facebook. That's just the market right now. And like I said, every time we open this beautiful foil, we're going to pause for it. We're going to fly across the screen a little bit. We like that pulse, scramble pulse. Beautiful foil. Beautiful cards. Beautiful cards. Oh man, yes. So that's kind of, TCG player. I'm going to have to like slow down here because I can't think. I don't know how these people do it. Oh, it's so hard because you just want to look at the beautiful cards. You want to think about them. You want to enjoy the art even after 13 cases. We're on case 14, if you already forgot. We've got cards flying over there. It doesn't matter because we've got another cold foil Spellfray leggings. That's another one. Is that 4 or 5? I don't know. But we don't have that Emperor. We do not have that Emperor, but speaking of cards that would help us break even or get closer to not losing all of our money right now, would be opening one of those, what do they call it? I think they call it surgical extraction, right? If you've seen the prices on that card lately, hopped up over to, wow, this is even selling at like $60 for the non-foil version over the weekend on TCG Player. And again, one of the reasons for that was just there was like no listings left. Like it was getting pretty skimpy there. And there's been some talk as to why that's happened. Ooh, Crouching Tiger. Look at that foil. Rawr. That's a cool one. That is a cool one. I'm just going to put that over there because why not? That's cool. Some people have said that it's buyouts, and maybe I could definitely imagine there are some people who are trying to buy out that card. It does seem a little bit, I don't have any evidence or knowledge of that, so maybe I'm not going to go out on a limb to say that's happening. It is a little surprising just how much more expensive it is than all of the other Assassin Majestics. Like, sure, it's probably the best one. It's the one you need. But at the same time, like, if you're building that Assassin deck, you probably want to buy most of the other Majestics too. And so it's a pretty high price differential. And you'll remember, I actually said early on, I think it was at 40? Was it 40 at release or something like that? I said that's too high of a price and it wouldn't hold it and it wouldn't be able to keep it. I think long term, I still stand by that. I think 40 is too high. I think 60 is definitely too high. Okay, pause. We'll come back to that. But finally, Extended Art Iron Song Bride. Check that off of our list. Wow, gorgeous card. Finally got one. Very cool. Very, very cool. I like that. Like that. With a Looming Doom in the back, just to let you know it's still there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, like I would not pay $60 for surgical extraction. I wouldn't pay 55. I wouldn't pay 50. Like if you really, really want that card, I would just wait a little bit on it. It just seems a little ridiculous to me based on how, based on previous price history, which I know is not always going to be the same going forward. And of course, there's a lot of changes with Flesh and Blood 2.0 and how they're doing print runs and everything. But based on previous history, for a class Majestic, even in a set with so many Majestics, for that to hit $60 and maintain that is, I don't know, I think that's going to be really difficult. Really, really difficult. Wait another 2-3 months even. I could be wrong. But I think that's really, really difficult. But there are a couple of reasons. One, maybe it's buyouts. Two, a lot of people want to play Assassin. It's the new card in the set. I think another reason that it's expensive too is that there's just not a lot of value throughout the rest of the set. When it comes to just the rest of your Majestics and different pieces, like there's not a ton of value. Not that there's not valuable cards in the set. Of course, we all know there's a lot of valuable cards in the set. But from what you're actually going to open in a box, in a case, leave no witnesses, another one there that's like, is it really, should it be under $10 compared to a $60 one? Seems a little bit wide of a gap. But if you've been watching, you can go back. If you haven't, just check the prices on the last couple of cases. I put it at the end of the episode. You should watch the whole thing. We haven't gotten close to hitting the value of how much a case costs in opening, even when we open surgical extractions and different cards. So it's not like, even if surgical extraction went up to like 150 a card, I think then I'd be like breaking even on boxes. So it's not like, $60 is like way more value than what you're going to open. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's weird how things are set up. The amount of different Majestics, of course, makes that so you got to go through. We're on halfway through case 14. I think I've opened 7 surgical extractions, and that's the 3 of them being foil, so that's pretty lucky since there's plenty of Majestic foils I don't have any of. So in that sense, like, yeah, I don't know, there's just the value spread out compared to how much you open. I don't know. That's one of the reasons why. That card can be going up. Another foil, that and that, just got more of that. You see all of that? Yeah. And I think too, again, with Assassin being the new character in this set, and then everything else going to characters that people already have a lot of cards for, don't necessarily feel like they need the new cards for, well, where are people going to go, right? Surgical extractions acting like the Command and Conquer or the Enlightened Strike of a set. So like in the historical sense, it's not actually that crazy that it's that high, but I think in the long term, it's going to go down. Don't stress. You don't need to get it right now. You don't need to play the perfect deck. It's okay. Even if it's ProQuest season, you can just hold off and wait. You can. You don't have to. If you want to, go for it. Anyways, that's all that jazz. I think, long term, it's going to be difficult for Fab to be creating. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it with the non-rotating kind of way they play things. You've got the living legend status, but the way that just cards don't regularly rotate out on like a timer, it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to be creating new cards that people get super excited about. like wanting to get, needing to get. So, yeah, which means a lot of cards that aren't for the brand new thing aren't going to have a lot of value. Like other than Assassin and then Mechanologist, which, again, it almost feels like a bunch of new stuff because it hasn't been in another set already. It's got a smaller card pool. Those are the ones that, yeah, people are jumping at. So I don't know how you keep that going in the long run without creating a lot more classes, spreading things a little bit more thin. Anyways, that's a video. That's something for another topic time conversation, because here we've got a rainbow foil of our Crown of Dominion, first legendary of the case, potentially the only legendary of the case. Nice to see those are back up, what, 30 bucks a piece? Coming up from the depths, guys. We're coming up from the depths. Again, though, if there's no value there, I don't know where else it's going to go other than surgical extraction. But all of this to say, and maybe we'll see in the future. I can't open these boxes forever, so maybe I'll just have to have some of these conversations without opening boxes. Maybe they'll be a little bit cleaner, clearer, straight to the point, and shorter. Maybe shorter, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the future holds for us. You have to let me know, I don't know, after this, if you think it's even worth doing another box or another case for Master Set Madness here, if it's time to cut our losses. Maybe Legend Story Studios has just said, we don't want you to do Master Set Madness. Maybe they made it too difficult for me. I don't know. But all this, you know, market stuff, all this market talk, you know, the problem is, and I think a lot of people, this might make some people unhappy, but, you know, most people aren't watching here anyways. Most people aren't going to hear this, but we just have to kind of accept the way that the markets are with card games like this, with Flesh and Blood. It's a TCG, which means it's designed with a model of having a secondary market of cards. Cool fire. It has a secondary market. It's got a lot of market pieces going along into it. And so if you use randomized cards, you know, you create a game with randomized cards. I'll pause. I'm going to say that I'm going to move the box. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to think about, what is he going to say next? What could he possibly say next? This is box number 4. Last one of the case. Give it a shot. If you have a product with randomized cards in it, randomized pieces, put it in whatever thing. If you have that, there are going to be people who try and game the system and make $1, right? There's going to be people who try and make money off of it. It's just the way it is. Like, you can't avoid that, right? You can't get away from that. The way of getting away from that is, you know, making a board game. Getting rid of the randomization. As long as there's randomization, some cards are going to be worth more than others, and some people are going to try and make cards worth more than others, because that's the way it is. It's just how it is. I don't know. And so even if it's not a great investment, right? Even if it's not the best way that you could make money, even if it's a bad way of making money and you're actually going to end up losing money, honestly, look at this ridiculousness. 2 extended art Iron Song Prides in the same case. That does not make any sense. But at this point in Master Set Madness, what has made sense? What has made sense? I don't know. But we got to... Whoa! Look at that! And in the same pack can invoke Soraya. Soraya the Archangel. What a weird pack. Look at that. Whoa. I feel like this case should be like $500. I don't know. We're not making any money. We're not making any money. Even if it's even if you're going to lose money, right? People enjoy trying to make money from their hobby, right? It's more fun. It's way more fun than shoveling the snow outside, though that is better exercise. It's just more, it's more fun to try and make some money from what you enjoy, what you have fun with. And, you know, in principle, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that idea. Some people, what is this? It's a double cold foil majestic case Imperial Edict. What? This is a weird case. Does that mean we're going to get something even better? Like, I mean, is there something hiding in here? Oh, that's kind of exciting. Some people do go too far with it, right? If you're buying out surgical extraction at $60 or paying, honestly, if you're paying more than $40 for that, I don't know. I think that's a little crazy. I think that's a bad investment, a bad idea. I would suggest not doing it. That would be my suggestion. People go a little bit too far, get a little too wild. But I don't know, at some point, if you just don't buy surgical extraction, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to pay $60, eventually they will have to fold and they will sell it, or they'll print another version of it, which they probably will. They'll just print another version of it and the price will go down. So don't get too excited about it. Don't get too excited about it. Don't wreck yourself trying to go too far with that. But on the other side, so if you're the person who's on the other end, don't get too stressed out about the financial part. There's a regular foil with Flesh and Blood, with card games. Don't worry about trying to buy game pieces that are beyond your means. And the trickier part is don't get upset when there are game pieces beyond your means, right? Like, just don't let it bother you. Now, I know that's easy to say, especially as you see somebody opening a crazy amount of cards in front of you, right? Which, again, I can't afford to keep all of them, like, long term, so I do have to just move a lot of them. I get the pieces out there to the players. So if you need a foil spectral procession, there will probably be one available. Or a Soraya. If you need a Soraya, I've got a couple. You can have one. But seriously, serious note. You don't need to get stressed out about the financial part, right? You really, I fully believe this. You do not need every single Flesh and Blood card to enjoy the game. You don't need it. You don't need it to have fun. In fact, I would argue that it's actually probably you can have more fun with the game when you don't have everything. Yeah, I mean, I think of all the games I played when I was a kid. I mean, gee whiz, we never had everything of anything. Of any game. Never had a play set of like any card that wasn't a common. And oh my goodness, the amount of hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of enjoyment, like, it's ridiculous, right? And sometimes we get a little bit older and we just forget that. We forget that, you know what? I could buy one box of Welcome to Race and I could enjoy it. And I could have fun with that, and I could actually probably play with that box for, I don't know, just pick your time frame. A month, 2 months. Pick your time frame. You could do it for, you could have fun if you wanted to, playing with a box for like a year. Like, you definitely don't, I could tell you, you definitely do not need to open 14 cases. There are diminishing returns. We have not gotten any cards to play with we did not already have. You don't need it all. You don't need the $60 surgical extraction. So just let people have fun trying to push the price up. Don't play the game. And by play the game, I mean don't play the game of chasing the really high, expensive card that you don't actually need. Either you have the funds to do it, and you think that's fine, and you go for it and do it if it doesn't bother you. If it does, it's better to not let it stress you, to kind of just say, okay, I can't have that, and move on, than it is to let that kind of eat away at you or get upset about it or frustrate you, to no end. It's just not worth it, right? Because this is supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be fun. And if at the end of the day, the financial part of TCGs like really, really, really bug you, if they really stress you out, my advice is, again, you either have to just think through it and just say, you know what? It really is okay that I don't have everything. I don't need everything. It's okay if I don't have the best competitive deck for each competitive event. I can just have fun playing with what I have or borrowing cards from other people. Or, and I want you to enjoy Fab. That's why we're making videos and stuff. But honestly, it's okay to walk away from a game. If a game ends up getting to the point where it's not fun, then why do it, right? And I say that with the idea that, of course, we should have passion. We should have passion and enjoy things, and it's okay to be a little bit upset about things. It just means that you actually like it, right? So if you're frustrated that Surgical Extraction's $60, probably it's because you like Flesh and Blood, you want to play it, and you want to play with that deck, but you don't have $60, $180 to buy 3 copies of it, right? And that's okay to feel a little bit frustrated. But if it gets to the point where it really stresses you so that that's what you're thinking about, like if you're spending more time thinking about what you can't do in a game and all the problems about the game and how much it frustrates you, then you're at a point where you need to pause and think, is it worth it? Do I need to reframe how I'm thinking, or do I just need to step away from this because it's not healthy? Because honestly, your health, your mental health is more important than a card game, right? It's true. It's much more important than a card game. Man, I don't know. How's that for a ramble for you? How's that? I'm sure some people are going to push back on that a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe not, because maybe nobody's here. I don't know. But we're going to check out the prices right now. So I'm going to find out the real numbers for how much this little pile of things here are, because I don't know. I don't know if we got anything in this pile that was worth anything. Did we? This is what, $1 or $2? Okay, Leave No Witnesses. Berserk's a little bit. Eradicate's a little bit. $2? That's a crazy thing. Look at that. There's the value. I'll be back in a second. Today we got 2 legendaries, right? 2 gorgeous legendaries. 2 majestic, beautiful extended arts. Beautiful looking card. And. We got 2 cold foil majestics. So, we got all that in this case. What do you think the price is? What do you think it is? The value for this case is, just make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, nothing. Is $156. $156, which is a grand total for more than a 50% loss. Right on this case? It's not the worst we've done. These 2 Iron Song Prides, $70 of the value. That's definitely not the worst. But that's still pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. And like I said, I literally would have had to grab even 2 surgical extractions. Probably 3 of them. You would need 3 of them to make up for this case. Oh man, that's crazy. It's crazy. I think part of it's just because, part of it's the way the set is put together. We've talked about this before, and how the variance is really, really high. Even that you get 2 of those, the legendaries have very little value compared to what you pay for a box. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's all over the place. But this is getting a little bit ridiculous. So I am going to take a pause. I'm going to pause opening cases for a while. We'll see maybe with ProQuest season and different things coming up. We might have some price increases on some stuff to make this a little bit more viable. We might actually have the opposite problem if the cards that do hold some value in here right now, if they just kind of don't make any splash anywhere, you might actually see the opposite happen. But hopefully not. Maybe with outsiders too, we'll get some boost on some stuff. I don't know. But I do need to take a pause here on Master Set Madness because this is pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I even talked a little bit ago about the difficulty maybe of doing it with Magic, but this is, I mean, the way this is all put together here, it might actually be harder than some of the Magic stuff going on. So, I don't know. Maybe you got to look at even Dominaria Remastered or something, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Maybe we'll have some more talking videos. More talking videos in the future. Peace.